This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. One of my favorite people in the business. And I've known him for about, 20 years doing his thing. Charles Davis from the NFL Network, getting ready to talk a little NFL draft, a little Dolphins. Charles, how are you doing, my friend? Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Big O. I'm doing okay. I trust you're doing great.
Yes. I'm completing my 5th year on the platform all by our lonesome. So being able to, stand on your own and travel and all that, I'm blessed, man. I'm truly blessed.
You've earned it.
Thank you, my brother. I was just talking a little basic football, and I think one of the things that frustrates fans and frustrates, I think, you and me at times, I know you need a quarterback, but sometimes we unrealistically put everything like the quarterback does it all.
Yeah.
And like I explained, like you got to know who your player is and then say, okay, I got to build this kind of offense. Like the guy we have here in Tua, I think you can win the biggest game that exists in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But he has to come from a place where he came from, like Alabama, where they have a line, where they can run. Like when you have statues, and I hate to say it, but when you have guys like Tua or Brady or Breeze or Greasy, for God's sake, in a Super Bowl, he threw 6 times to win. You know what I mean? When you have a guy that is not really an athlete, but he's a passer, give him a line, give him a running game, then he can do his thing, have a defense, have balance. Once you have balance, a passer can survive. But if you're going to have imbalance, then you're going to need an athlete like Josh Allen, like Jalen Hurts, like Lamar Jackson, because they will overcome their deficiencies as passers with their legs. Okay, but that's part of your scheme. And I think that's where we have a disconnect with the fans, with the philosophy, with the things going on in Miami, where, okay, you're going to have this kind of quarterback. Well, you need to go back to where you came from in the 70s. Build the lines, dominate the lines. Look at Mahomes. He can move. And he got his ass kicked this year by Philadelphia. And the last year that Tyreek was there, also. Why? The line did not support Mahomes. So can we talk a little bit about how we get drowned out with the quarterback and the philosophy?
Yeah, I think that you spelled it out very, very well. I think that goes across the board. All 32 teams know who you have, know what you're trying to accomplish, know what you have to build to get to. Can a mobile quarterback get you out of things at times? Yes, but it's not a recipe for extended and sustained success. You spelled it out quite well. Mahomes isn't the fastest guy you've ever seen in your life. He's really around a 4.7 40 guy, right? But he's a very smart runner, understands when to take off, what situations, when it's open, and he's a very determined runner. He understands where he has to get to pick up the first down. He gets all of that. He's very intelligent in how he plays. He's ascended to that apex quarterback level in all aspects. But I don't care how good of a runner you are. Lamar Jackson would not have survived that Super Bowl, okay? When those lines overwhelm you and they trap you back there or they keep you under duress, you can run around as much as you want to. You can try and extend and make a play. It's just not there. The difference in the 2 Super Bowls for me with Mahomes, the one against Tampa where they destroyed him as well, he was heroic in his play in that game. I mean, he played as well as he possibly could have played. There were some balls thrown that could have been caught that we still don't know how he even threw it. The one where he's parallel to the ground and he's slinging the ball. He didn't play well in this last one, in addition to the line failing him. So you put it together, it's a bad day all the way around. But here's my thing about it. The most mobile quarterbacks out there oftentimes are the most sacked quarterbacks, especially when they're younger, because they always feel like they can get out of it. They can extend the play longer. I can make them, I'm down. Heck, next time. Caleb Williams has found that out quickly. He found that out quickly as a rookie. 68 sacks. They weren't all on the offensive line. There's plenty of times we held the ball too long. We're evaluating quarterbacks coming out this year. Cam Ward's a runaround guy. Okay, he will learn in the NFL. You got to speed up your clock. Shedeur Sanders isn't a runaround guy, but he took a lot of sacks at Colorado. Offensive line wasn't great, but there's still some of that goes on.
All right, Charles, you gotta walk me through this because I'm really struggling with this, and maybe it's the old school guy in me. And let me tell you, what I'm about to tell you is blasphemous here in South Florida. I think Shedeur is the better passer. I love Cam Ward. I love his moxie. His talent is undeniable. He can make any throw he wants in the NFL. He's more gifted by the Lord than Shedeur is. There's no doubt in my mind. None whatsoever. But when I look at accuracy, anticipatory skills, and all of that, I see Shedeur. And when I watch Cam here, he had 9-10 seconds to throw the ball. He could smoke a cigar with a 1-inch ash and just chill out and find somebody. He took risky throws at times that in the NFL, he got burned in college. In the NFL, he's going to get roasted. There wasn't as much 3, 5, and 7-step drop, plant, throw on time in that offense. Whereas Shedeur, I saw tons of that. I know he can throw on time and all that stuff. So I almost feel like he's a better transition to the NFL. I know that everybody talks about his arm and all that. His arm is more than good enough for the NFL, but it's the accuracy, anticipatory, and the structure he played in convinces me a little bit more. And you know, Charles, me saying this in Miami, not popular.
I know you have to get some few people to walk with you to go to lunch, and that I'm aware of.
What am I missing? Because everybody's got camp.
I don't think you're really missing anything. So if that's blasphemous, then I guess I'm in the same camp with you in terms of how it's laid out. Everything you said about Cam Ward, and what always happens with these things is people miss the compliments. They only catch the so-called criticism or the analysis of it. Everything you said, Cam Ward has all of that. Cam Ward's story is maybe the best quarterback story in the draft. If you can go from a 0-star recruit to the number 1 pick in the entire draft, that is worthy of thunderous applause and standing ovations all over the place because he had to work to get
Baker Mayfield. It's the Baker Mayfield climb.
Baker Mayfield going from not being strongly recruited, walked on, went on, get the whole idea. There's a good number of those out there, but this is the latest one.
Yep.
When I did my first mock draft, and you know as well as I do, Big O, mock drafts are not Magna Cartas. Mock drafts are worth the paper that you print them on. You get it, right? But when I did my first one and I made Shedeur Sanders the number 1 pick in the draft going to Tennessee, it was for the reasons you talked about. Because going to Tennessee with Brian Callahan, last year he had Will Levis, right? And Will Levis, the best game he played in the NFL, I think, is burned into minds of probably Dolphins fans, right? That was it a Thursday night, a Monday night? I can't remember what it was, where he led that comeback late and was heroic in playing, et cetera, et cetera. But since that time, he plays off platform. He thinks his arm's going to get him out of everything. He doesn't make great decisions. And in the first 2 weeks of the NFL season last year, he turned 2 wins into losses with really, really bad decisions and did not handle the ball well. I kept thinking to myself, Brian Callahan, I don't know if he wants to see any more of that. I'm not saying Cam Ward is that with Levis, but style of play equals that much more than style of play with Shedeur. So that's why I made Shedeur the number 1 guy in my first mock draft. And people were like, well, I said, hold a second. Think about who Brian Callahan has coached in his career. If you go back through his career, Burrow was the latest. Before that, he had worked with Manning. He had worked with some other guys. He had worked with Goff. He had worked. Are any of those guys out of structure quarterbacks? No. They're much more in structure. And Shedeur is more in structure. Not a total statue. He can move a little bit, but that's not going to be the number 1 part of his game. So I don't think what you're saying is blasphemy. But it's very interesting because if things go the way we think next Thursday night, Tennessee has come off of that and gone much more with Cam Ward. Now, connect the dots with me, Big O.
Yeah.
Their new offense, their new general manager, Mike Borgonzi, from Kansas City.
City, yes.
Who did he help select there and watch play and develop?
Mahomes.
So Ward kind of fits that more, although I don't compare Ward to Mahomes and I don't compare Shador to Burrow. Right. But in style of play, that's what we're talking about. But ultimately it looks like Ward's coming off first. But I understand where you're coming from on that. And my esteemed colleague, Bucky Brooks, to this day still has Shador as the number one quarterback, Cam Ward number two, for a lot of the reasons that you said. By
the way, they also got Reggie McKenzie, who left Miami and was here in Cam's backyard all year.
Yes.
So, adds and I know Reggie went back to retire and kind of be a consultant because he's from that area, which is great for him and all that. But, after everything that's done, everything.
Yeah, it's a first-time GM. He's going to listen to a lot of voices early, and Reggie's will be one that he will listen to.
Yeah, well, he hit on Derek Carr, so it's not like, to me, I still say Reggie got treated unfairly in Oakland because
I'm a Vol, Big O. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Dude, he took over and didn't have a first and a second rounder in his first 2 years in the beginning of a rebuild, and still found Carr and Mack and got him to the playoffs, and just because they had a down year. And I mean, I'm so frustrated with the whole Reggie McKenzie thing. Anyway, so just looking at all of that. Okay, so it's interesting. So now we go to the Dolphins at 13.
Yeah,
help us out here, because now with the Jalen thing, Tyreek's here maybe for a year and then he's gone. At this point, now the Dolphins could draft offensive line, they can draft defensive line, they can draft corner, they can draft safety.
Bingo.
For a number one wide receiver, if there's one there, not that really is the number one option or anything, but it's just crazy how they have so many needs, Charles. So what is the strength you think of this draft at 13?
13, I still think it's in the lines. I still think it's offensive, defensive line. That's where this draft is going to kind of, I think, right itself until we see them play. And then we'll come back and talk about it 3 years later. We'll go, boy, we really missed on those receivers, didn't it'd be something like that, right? So that's how it always tends to play out. But I still think when you're sitting there at 13, there's a very good chance that you got a shot at a big-time defensive lineman that you like. There's a very good chance that you got a shot at a big-time offensive lineman that you like. But the flip side of all that is, if you value another position and that top player is there, will you go get him? Because I really think our old ideal of, is that too high for that guy, doesn't really work anymore. I think now is, do you like him and have conviction? Then you better go get him. Okay? Because the idea, 13's too high for the safety, I can get the safety later, then you never get your guy. And we've gone through that how many times? Remember Travis Frederick when he came out of Wisconsin and Dallas took him in the first round at center, and we all lost our mind and said, I had a third-round grade on him. What are you doing? He became an all-pro. Like, if you got conviction, it works. Now, there's times when people have had conviction that hasn't worked, but that's the art of drafting. That's what you're going to get into. If you like him, you go get him. What's going to be interesting to me is with Chris Greer and group, what will they value when that number comes up? And obviously some of it will play out ahead of them. But sitting there at 13, Big O, they may have the first bite of the apple at the top corner. At 13, a corner may not be gone at that point. They may be able to get to that and go ahead and do it. Then you got to decide what you're liking about either edge rushers or interior guys. Is there a guy you like there? Because Mason Graham is the top guy in the interior defensive line. We know that at Michigan. But sitting there at that point, do you like Derek Harmon? Do you like Kenneth Grant? I can go on and on and on. So it's going to be a very interesting look to see what's there, because Armand Membu at 13, I don't think he's going to be there anymore. I think that's pretty much out the window.
I have a love affair there. That's the guy I wanted. That's the guy I wanted for a while, and now he's just shot up.
He got too good on you, Big O. Like he jumped. Everybody went, oh.
Jared Verse was that guy last year.
Yes.
I wanted badly, and whatever. It's just crazy, man. But when and here's the other thing that I was going to follow up with. And I think you hit it. I think they may end up going a corner or safety or something along those lines. Why? You know better than I do on this, but from what I'm asking around, this draft is actually deep at guard and defensive tackle in the second round. So Miami will have real good, I'm told, really good options in the second round at those positions. Is that true or untrue?
No, I think that's true. I think there's a lot of depth, offensive and defensive lines. So it'd be interesting to see how people value different things in the first round and figure out what they're going to do. I'll just use for an example, Donovan Jackson, the offensive lineman from Ohio State, guard, tackle, much more of a guard. He had to swing out to tackle because Josh Simmons got hurt this year, acquitted himself nicely, but he's really a guard. It'd be very interesting when people are sitting there staring at him. Does he end up sliding to the second round because other needs are being met beforehand by other teams?
Right.
Because to me, he's a first-round talent all day long. But as you noted in this draft, if it's deeper somewhere else, do I come back? And I've actually talked with enough people, and I think you have too. Tell me if you have heard this. Hey, the pick that I get at 5, 6, 7, 10, if I don't take that person or if I don't get that guy, I come back at 40 and 50.
Right.
And get essentially the same guy. The guy that I didn't grab at 25, I come back at 75, 80. It's about the same guy. Now, I hate saying it that way because I feel like I'm dumping on these youngsters, and I'm not. They're all talented kids. It's just that this draft is not rated as highly that way. And part of it is I think the sex appeal of the draft isn't there too. Remember, quarterbacks we're not losing sleep over, right? Wide receivers, if we're taking a receiver, are we truly getting a wide receiver 1? Or are we getting a 2 in the first round or the second round? That's what it's come down to. The tight ends are more highly rated this year. So that's where, okay, which way are we going to go with that one? We might have a fight early in this draft on taking Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland, where people might make a move to get one of them as opposed to making a move to get a wide receiver.
So who's the best, in your eyes, who's the best player in this draft?
Travis Hunter. Because I can do whatever I want with him, offense and defense. I know I saw the report yesterday. If I don't get to play both, I'm taking my ball and going home. No, he's not. Okay.
Of course, you know what I said? You know what I said when I saw that? I go, young man, you are now stepping into a world you are a young man. You're stepping into a world with grown-ass men. That have mortgages, wives, and girlfriends, and a hunger that they want to rip your head off. Look at Ohtani, and this is not football.
Yeah, he'll learn.
Go hit and pitch, and dude, that's a labor on you. You want to do offense and defense in the NFL, my brother? No.
Listen, we all understand the zeal. We all understand this is what he's done his entire life. We all get that. It'll be very interesting to see who drafts him and where they play him first. Because I haven't polled the owners of the NFL, the 32 ownership groups, but I'm willing to bet that if I sat down and had a poll, that the high 20s would tell me that if we draft him, we want him to play offense first.
Wow.
Other stuff can come later. That's how they look at it. Then I talked to a Rondé Barber, who's a Hall of Famer, who knows the game as well as anyone who's ever done it.
I thought you were going to say the other way around, defense, actually, because that's where I would.
Yeah. The owners want people to score touchdowns. Okay. Right. They want points. That's a lot easier to sell. Okay. Rondé is talking about this kid needs technique work on the defensive side, but he has everything you're looking for. He'll show you a play where he'll do 5 things wrong on technique-wise and knock the ball away at the end of it. 5 things wrong technique-wise, intercept the pass. So the kid's got what you're looking for. You just got to refine it. And Rondé offered a great note of caution that I've taken to heart. If you draft him and you play him on defense first, you can sprinkle in the offense easier. If you play him on offense first, It's harder to sprinkle in the defense because of technique, coverages, all those things. And one bust means 6 points in this league. So it's something that I've kept in mind. But I really believe owners, when they talk to their people, when they're, okay, we're going to drop Travis Hunter, offense, right?
Right.
That's what I think the ownership group's going to say first.
I'm sorry, but I'm where did he come from? Colorado? Well, I'm going to his coach. I'm going to use you like Dion, and then situationally, I'm going to whip you out as a wide receiver. Situationally, I'm going to use you as a returner because that's when I need my prime time. Prime time. That's what I'm going to do with him. I'm going to use him in a Deion Sanders way because Deion Sanders cut off half the field. He's going to take away your number one receiver. And to me, that's even more valuable than actually turning him as a wide receiver. If you're going to shut down their number one wide receiver in a pass-happy league nowadays, I don't know. I seem to find that to be one hell of a weapon. And the last thing I want to do is wear him out on both ends.
And it is a heck of a weapon. I mean, it is a great weapon. I can't wait to see how it all unfolds and which side of the ball they choose for him first and then sprinkle in the other stuff because they will. And remember, he's a young man coming out of college, so he starts to mature physically where weight stays on you over the course of a season. This kid's playing 115 plays a game. Okay, he won't have to do that in the NFL. So now maybe some of that weight will stay on him as he gets stronger and he goes and adapts to the game. Oh, I didn't weigh the kid at all. I wasn't on the scales, but I'll bet you he played around 180 pounds last year. Okay, he weighed 188 at the combine. He's going to have to get a little bit stronger as he goes along, and he will. But I think he's the best player in this draft. I can do anything I want. I'll leave it with this. I've talked with NFL people who saw him as a corner, and then they just watched his wide receiver tape. And I saw others who saw him as a receiver and watched his corner tape. And all of them said the same thing. I didn't know he was that good on the other side of the ball. That's what they all said. Yeah, so that tells you what they believe in him.
He's definitely a freak. All right, so let me leave you with this because it's obviously utter failure for all of us. Who does Miami pick at 13? If you're them, who do they take after our conversation now? Who you taking? Who you think is realistic? Wow. Just realistic.
Realistically?
I want Membu, and that's not realistic anymore. So go ahead.
It doesn't feel like it's realistic, does it?
No.
I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball. And I'm going to say whoever the top corner is that's available that Miami likes, they take there. I don't know if that's Will Johnson. I don't know if that's Jahdae Barron. I'll tell you my personal favorite, and he's been off the radar because he was hurt, is Benjamin Morrison out of Notre Dame.
Okay.
Crazy about him. But I don't think that he's going to go into consideration at 13.
Yeah, and I think this Jalen Ramsey thing, going into the draft without the Jalen Ramsey crap.
We're talking something different.
You would have been talking D and O line. Now it comes out, if they take a corner, people are going to go, well, no, they're going to need it. So it ends up working out. Charles, enjoy the draft, my brother. Safe travels, my friend. And thank you, as always, for taking time for me, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me. Continued success, man. I'm so happy for you. You take care of yourself.
Thank you, Charles. God bless. Be good, my friend. There you go, Charles Davis, baby, from the NFL Network.